Welcome to the Whisky Business Podcast, where we dive into the rich and fascinating world of whisky and the equally complex landscape of business. I'm your host, Ash Playsted, here to guide you through conversations that blend the culture and enjoyment of great whisky with the craft of building lasting business success. Each episode will be an exploration of the subtle connections between the smooth complexities of a fine dram and the strategic decisions that shape thriving enterprises. So pour yourself a glass, settle in, and join us as we discover how passion and precision make all the difference in both whisky and business. Hello, Ash Playsted here, host of the Whisky Business Show. I hope you're having a fantastic Monday or whatever day you happen to be consuming this episode. I think we're at episode 12, but it would be 11, it would be 12. Look, I've got a treat for you today, particularly for us Aussies. I've got an amazing whiskey from the Apple Isle, and I also want to talk about how that flows over to business and how being geographically distant or smaller or new is no impediment to growth and winning and producing great product. In fact, it can often be your superpower. But first things first, I want to talk about McHenry's, the fantastic, relatively new, 10 or 15 years distillery down in southern Tasmania. And whisky lovers familiar with McHenry's, or particularly Tasmania's distillery scene, will recognise the name at once. McHenry's have been making whisky since 2011 on the Tasman Peninsular, in Port Arthur, where the land is akin to the Scottish coast. You know, it's a very damp, moist southern climate, and so the whisky loses a little bit more alcohol than other Tassie whiskies during the maturation process, which leads to a delicate whisky with great complexity. So imagine my delight when this delicious 10-year-old with a cask strength, straight out of a cask of 55% ABV, and swirling with gooey spiced nougat, pistachio, and Swiss milk chocolate, and with a finish of rich oak and blueberry pie, hit the inbox of my Whisky Club membership. Let's have a look at the bottle. Okay. What an absolute cracker. I have had a dram or two of this at a whiskey bar, but I haven't opened my bottle yet. I'm hanging on to this one for a little while to see what happens, but I have tasted the whiskey. It's an absolute cracker. Now, McHenry Cask Strength releases are rare, and so this one is a real collectible. It is stored and matured in 1988 French oak barrels that have contained port since 1988, obviously. So McHenry's filled these barrels in 2014 with their single malt and waited 10 long years before bottling it at Cask Strength. So it's an absolute cracker. And I'll talk a little bit more about McHenry's, the distillery. As I said, it's in Port Arthur. Anybody familiar with Tassie may have been to Port Arthur. It's an amazing place. So being founded in 2011 obviously makes it a relatively new distillery. It's called, obviously, its full name is William McHenry and Sons Distillery. It's on a 100-acre farm, provides a very tranquil setting and access to pure spring water. So across the world, right? Across the world, products produced in Tasmania are just automatically accepted as being pristine, clean, and pure. The water is so pure and clean and cool, and the air, it's perfect for whiskey making. In fact, I would say the climate in this southern part of Tasmania, is extremely close to Scottish conditions. And every ingredient for their spirits is locally sourced. So the McHenry family, wanted to express, their unique geography, the unique land and soil in their spirits. It uses a custom Tasmanian-made, water-jacketed, electrically heated 500-litre pot still, which allows for precise quality control and consistency. Ever since this one was released, they've received a lot of international acclaim. It's obviously their first 10-year release, but I think watch this space. Get yourself some McHenrys, get down south, all things Tasmania. Jump on the ferry, head over there. The produce down there is amazing. The scenery down there is amazing. The whiskey down there is amazing. I think this McHenry's is as good as any whiskey from Scotland. It's an absolute cracker. Get your hands on a bottle if you can. Now, without any further ado, I want to relate this to business. So in business, particularly in the mortgage broking industry, been around for 25, 30 years now, there's a lot of mature businesses around, and I think that do really well. And the industry is starting to consolidate. Businesses are starting to come together to bring resources, buying power, opportunities, leadership, and critical mass. And a lot of those businesses have probably reached a point where they're looking to exit. Now, you take that back to the example of McHenry's. If you are, let's say you're not in the city, and this is where I want to draw the parallel. A lot of mortgage broking businesses, people believe, they've got to be based in Melbourne, they've got to be based in Sydney, they've got to be based in Brisbane, a major capital centre to be successful because of the critical mass of people. Me personally, I built all of my successful mortgage businesses based out of my regional Victorian hometown. And at one stage, I had 40 brokers, 10 or 15 staff. We were settling big volumes of loans. And that's 15, 20 years ago. Pre really the integration of the internet, communications, and the sort of hybrid work, life and client capacity to service clients anywhere in the country without having to see them in person. So I would say right now, it's almost an advantage to be a regionally based broker. And here's why. I was having this conversation with a broker the other day. Amongst all the things that brokers need to do well, I think we all know great customer service, communication, consistency, reliability, etc., and obviously the client's best interest at all times. All broking businesses should be aspiring to do that. So what does a mortgage broking business based in a regional area have above that? Here's what I'm going to say. It is a regional mindset that client service, accessibility, the ability to pick up the phone, the ability to trust the person that you're dealing with as one of you is a core advantage. This is something that I used to my advantage and my customers' advantage growing my business back in the day. And this is where McHenry, the distillery, it's based down in the boondocks of Tasmania, right? You'd look at it and go, well, how could a great whiskey be produced there despite, the natural advantages of the geography? It's because of that supposed disadvantage that they have an advantage. People love family-owned businesses. Clients love that bespoke service. Clients love that capacity to feel like they're one of the family. This is a very country regional mindset. Now, I'm not saying city brokers don't think like that as well. Most of you do, no doubt. However, what I want to point out, obviously, is the connection, the parallel between being a regionally based distillery and a regionally based brokerage. It's your advantage. Don't try and hide from it. Don't avoid it. Don't ignore it. Don't minimize it. Maximize it. Speak about it. Talk about it. Put it at the front of your social media, your website, your client offering. Put it out there. Okay. It is a huge advantage because people, I truly believe, respond to those regional and country mindset advantages. So use it, people. Use it. Hope to see you on the next episode. In the meantime, if you can get yourself onto a dram or two of McHenry, do that. If not, just get your best favourite whiskey. Enjoy life. Have a fantastic week. And I'll see you on the next episode of the Whisky Business Show.